presenters joining us today. So we've got Kamil Imtiaz, who's the product marketing lead over at Outtake, as well as Jen Wong, who's the development engineer. Kamil's going to take the lead here, kind of present on all things Outtake, and then Jordan will be joining us for a live demo. So with that, I'm going to kick things over to you, Kamil, and excited to hear from you both.
Thank you, Mackenzie, and thank you for everybody for joining this session. Today, we're going to talk about events. Your event is public. So is the plan to disrupt it. We're going to look inside the location protection playbook. And in today's agenda, it's very straightforward. We're going to talk about the internet is now agentic. What does that really mean that the internet has gone agentic? Then we're going to talk about why legacy point products fall short. Now, we're talking in the context of events and locations. So if you're using any of the legacy products right now to protect your events, to protect your executives, or to protect the people that you manage, we're going to talk about that as well. We're going to introduce you to the Outtake Digital Trust Platform, and what does that really mean, and how does that help you, and why does it matter? And then we have Jen on our team that's going to walk you through the actual demo of location protection and how do we approach this problem. At the end, we'll open it up for a few questions, and then we'll wrap it up with some of the key points. So let's get started. So when we talk about agentic internet, right, this is what we're talking about. Let's start with what broke. For most of internet history, faking something took skill, right? If you were really skill and time and money to fake something. And today we are seeing a lot of fake sites. We're seeing impersonation, clone voice, spoofed profiles. What really took real effort now with agentic internet, or now with the AI capabilities that people have in their hands, this is becoming very, very easy and cheap. And the one thing that is gone now is trust. So how do you trust the internet? How do you trust with your interaction when you go on the internet? How can you even trust if you're looking at a particular profile or a website, if it's real or not? Now, AI has made it so easy for us to be the deception capability of AI is so real now. It's really hard to tell. I mean, this is a conversation we have with our peers, even at gatherings when you're talking about it. We always talk about, have you seen that AI video? This looks really real. And this is really, really getting to a point where everybody has access to it. And the real victim of this is trust. And when the faking is free, I mean, it's the shift underneath everything we're going to talk about today. And the parameter starts online long before anyone travels to your event. Now, let's talk about the agentic internet. What does that really mean? I mean, the thing that really boggles the mind is by 2030, the traffic that you see on the internet will surpass human traffic. Now, let us sink in for a little bit, right? Before, we used to imagine that you have to build up these nice websites and you have to build up all these different information out there that people are going to go and interact and do shopping or do different things that they do. But now the agents are doing the work for you. You don't even leave your console in your laptop or wherever you're using your AI tools. You don't even go to the internet anymore. The agents do the research for you. So the AI traffics now exceed human traffic by 51%. Of all global internet traffic is exceeding humans. And the catch here is that those traffic is not good traffic either. They're actual bad bots that constitute 37% of all internet traffic. And when I talked about something as broke, the AI has given you the capability to speed up your attacks as well. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a seasoned hacker to do it. These things are available, readily available on the internet. There are things like impersonation as a service also available to you. And you have all these AI tools available that really, really makes it easier to create a phishing email. That's why we see a more than 700% increase in phishing attacks. It just makes sense. If you have access to this tool, now you can send millions of these emails. At least one or two are going to bite. So it's a good payday, and a quick one and a cheap one. So the AI bot traffic is skyrocketing 300% year over year. So you can see that graph going from humans going down and the AI traffic going up, right? So this is something that we call agentic internet, and this is here today. There was some expectation that it will take some time, maybe by next year, by the end of 2027. But now we're seeing in 2026 has already gone that threshold. So this is something very interesting that all of us need to watch and really create defenses around it, because this information actually helps you understand the trust infrastructure. How can we protect our organization, our people, our events when these types of activities are happening? Now, what does that mean to me? That's great. But when it comes to location and events, how does that even matter? Why should I even look at it? So when you look at all the events and locations, right? Now, look, these events are public by design. You have the date, the venues, the routes, the speakers, all of it is published beforehand. Easy to map. I mean, with FIFA now coming on board, right? We're talking about in 2026, the World Cup. And then, you see all the events and things of that nature are already public. So these are now available on the internet readily. Now, what people can do, or the bad guys can do, is weaponize at machine speed. What took days to do research now takes minutes. So before you have to plan, you got to look at this map, you got to look at all the routes and timings and things of that nature. Now with just a few prompts, you can get all the information that you need. And the best part is, for anybody who's trying to reach your event or plan according to what you have put on public, it's one place, one window. Everybody's going to be there, one room. But imagine now you have all this homework or things that you could do prior to that event. It already kind of speeds up the process. That's why when we talk about faking it is so cheap, that who do you trust? And your events, your locations become a prime target. Now, what do you do when you talk about these things, right? It's really important to understand the threat landscape. Now, what we're looking at here is we're not trying to say that we're going to police the people and track what's going on the events, but it really boils down to how can I make it safer for people who are attending these events? How can I be more proactive to give context to local law enforcement or the security team so they have all the context prior to this event so they can allocate resources efficiently? So you have to understand, distinguish, and protect. When we talk about the understanding piece of it, we know that all these large events and occasions may be an annual meeting, or it could be a public press event, whatever it is. We know it's going to be large, mostly benign public conversation happening on the internet. If people are talking about this event, people are excited, people are enthusiastic about these events. And then it's really important to distinguish from noise to credible signals. That's where the magic needs to happen. Majority of stuff is good, but you got to find out those little bits of information that were really those rare indicators of intent of harm. That's the hard part to find. And with so many social platforms, so many different places where this information is there, if you were to kind of do it manually, it's mostly impossible to do it anymore. So you really need to understand the threat landscape before you dive into protection, before you dive into actually those takedowns or informing whoever you need to inform to make the right decisions. Now, this is not something that we're saying is theory or it might happen. We actually have seen this happen. Public events carry real safety risks now. We looked at some of the informations. It was just recent. One of the energy company had their shareholder meeting, and they were stage rushed. And forced security intervene. You know how somebody's talking and somebody just rushes the stage, and the security team comes in. This happened second year in a row. And the lead up for this was public in advance. So the information was there on the internet. The information was there out there to grab and then plan accordingly, but they failed to do it. And this is alluding to what I talked about, where typically it took 7 to 9 hours to just plan and see everything, where things on the internet are moving at a machine speed. It's just hard to catch up. You can't win. And a recent bank annual meeting, this is a different version of it, where it was disrupted from the inside of that conference, where it lead up to openly online, somebody on the phone, there's chatting going on, live streaming going on, things like that, and they're disrupting it. And they had enough time to prepare for this event. They have enough time to plan accordingly. Why? Because they have all this information readily available. So why does this matter when you talk about digital trust? Is because whatever you're putting online, whatever you have to do, safety becomes an importance, right? It's not about opinions or this is like a protest happening or activism. It's not about that. It's mostly about understanding the landscape early to protect the people that they're joining that event. Becomes really, really important. That's why you need to build the defenses, know exactly what's happening on the internet parameter, what's happening with your brand, what's happening with your events. This becomes more and more important. And what's really happening out there? We talked about the agentic internet. Now, if we turn the tables towards the adversary's mindset, so the bad guys are using AI in different motions. Events could be one component. Now with the internet become agentic, and you have all these tools for adversaries to use in AI and all these services that they can get. Now they're targeting your entities. They know that your parameter is fortified. You spend a lot of money in the last 10 years for endpoint protection, network protection with firewalls, data leak prevention, identity, cloud. So they've been building a lot of defenses. So the attackers or the adversaries now know, how can I walk around this your fortress? And now they're leaning in on entities. This could be your brand, your website, your social media, your email, your personas, your profiles, and now even events. It could be part of the whole campaign where they start with the events to cause distraction and come from the other end. And it could be the same actor trying to do everything around it. So the target has become the external parameter now. How can I walk around your fortress and steal your data or do the disruption that I need to do or provide damage and have the maximum impact without even touching any of your stack or being noticed? That's the future of what we call digital risk that's happening right now. Now, as a leader, if you guys are leading teams and you're looking at this and you're thinking about it, what we like to call it is more of a trust journey. Because trust right now is at stake. Trust is something that's broken and it's really hard to believe what you see right now. So in order to do that, it has to have 4 stages. And most of the people just focus on the first pillar, which I call land. The external exposure and digital abuse, right? This is more about visibility. Okay, I know my entities, I know my executives, I know my events, I know my locations. Okay, I know all that stuff is available in public. We got to do this event. We're not going to stop it, but how do I know? I don't know how many entities are being abused. What are people saying about it? What's the sentiment about it? What's the whole traction around this event? I don't know. So the first thing is visibility. People latch on to, I just want to know. The second phase is actually important because you need to expand on it, get the intel on it, which is, okay, these are some of the entities or this event is happening out on the internet. I can see some people have some negative sentiments about it, but I really need to know what's the real damage? What's the real impact? That's where the context comes in. That's where the nodes get connected. That's where you have the connections. If this is a targeted campaign, is it a major adversary behind it that's just trying to get into my fortress and steal my data? Or what is it? I just don't know. So you need to expand it. And once you know about it, how can I dismantle it? It's good to know about it. You can see that something bad is happening or something bad could happen. And if you cannot take any action on it, then what's the use? And remember, now the actions are the expectation is that you do it at machine speed. Because they're attacking you using AI, you cannot sit there for 7-8 hours trying to figure out your plan, how to dismantle it. So the response has to be equal to the type of attack that you're getting. And once you have done that, it's also important to now understand the impact. Okay, great. I went to land, expand, embed. Okay, now how can I prove to my superiors or to, anybody in the hierarchy is like, okay, this is how we prevented this damage. Imagine if you go back and you look at that Russian event, if you were able to protect that and not happen beforehand, then the meeting would have gone fine. There's no disruption. There's no loss of hours. There's not people leaving the conference because now they don't feel safe anymore. There could be some investors in there who left. So how do you materialize that impact in a positive way? So when you're thinking about this, regardless if it's location or anything else, just think about digital trust in general, which is a bigger spectrum. And the same philosophy, the same elements and components apply everywhere. And if you look at, okay, you might be coming back and saying this is great, but I have some tools today. I use some, products today that actually gives me that information. But I tell you why they fall short. Because they were not built for the internet of today. Why manual event monitoring falls short. The first thing is speed. Like I talked about the agentic internet, right? You cannot wait 7 to 9 hours for detection lags. It's just not going to cut it anymore. You have no access to private channels. What if this information is on different languages? Is your tool capable of doing that? Or are they just looking at text information? Now everything is visual. There are videos, there are audios, there are images being generated by AI, and it's just everywhere. Does your tool take care of that? So these are the questions you need to ask. How can I create workflows which are time-bound? Not always on, just giving you noise. I mean, I understand your team is already overburdened with so many alerts. This is just one use case you're taking care of, not to mention everything else that you do. So you need to have something that tied to a venue, a schedule, when it's up and when it's down, clean start, clean stand down. So that makes your life easier and you focus on what really matters. You need to have geolocation context. If your tool doesn't provide that, what's the use? Right. So you have to have those components of intelligence, like signal surface on the ground, what's happening on the ground. Physical teams have no digital context. So you need to give them a package so they are very, very familiar and prepared for what's coming next. So what I would advise to do is to go back to the tools that you currently exist and ask them these questions. Because in this digital age and dealing with these type of risks, you need all of these things. And this is where a trust platform comes in play. So if you haven't looked at Outtake, you the first time you're looking at it, think about from that perspective, right? To fight machines, you need to have machine to fight them. You cannot do it manually. And the only way to scale is if you have a AI native or AI born platform that is built on purpose to fight this battle. So what we do is we have more than 45 surfaces protected, right? So we continuously do reconnaissance. And behind this platform, the power or the soldiers that we have is the fleet of agents. So with minimum human intervention, in some cases, no human intervention, every stage of this platform, and we start with the signal. This is where we grab every information from the external parameter. You got all these 45 different platforms. You got dark web. We have all these different places that we go and get this information is all stored and connected into what we call the trust reservoir. Now, the trust reservoir is where the action happens because this is all the profiles, the validated signals, the memory, the deduplication, and the connecting of the dots that creates what we call the threat graph. So one signal, the whole operation explodes. So if you see one thing, it's almost like scratching the surface, right? You see one bad domain or maybe one post about this location, but when you click on it, it tells you the whole campaign behind it. So this platform, based on what we like to call more of an agentic capability of it, gives you autonomous, investigation. It also helps you take down any of that, dismantle that operation quickly. What used to take weeks now can be done in hours. In some cases, I've seen it being done in 30 minutes. So depending on your situation, you need a platform that can consolidate all of the use cases in one place. But at the end, the engine is agentic. It's doing at the speed that they're coming at, and we can dismantle them at the same speed. Now, as this Outtake platform, what are the outcomes that are coming in? What are the use cases and the workflows that we protect you from? So we have brand protection, executive protection, and today we talked a little bit about location protection, and this is what Jen is going to show you in the demo as well. And we also do product security. So if you're trying to protect your brand from fake domain, clone apps, malicious ads, all those capabilities that are out there that's been currently attacked and used and leveraged by adversaries. We are here to protect you. And if you're in your company, you have people protection. If you have executives like deepfake, extortion, all those different things, we also protect you from that. And location protection also, the coordinated events that are happening, the venue is being targeted, all those exposures also with this, in the heels of this platform is giving those capabilities. And if you have apps or products or things of that nature that you use are being abused by these adversaries using AI, we also protect you from that. So I highly encourage you after the demo to really go and learn about this Outtake platform or how this can really help your organization. And we're not the only ones. Our customers are there. This is a list of our customers that trust us. And they're going through these pains and challenges that they didn't find anybody else solving it for them. So they came to us. So some of the world's best brands and governments are here to ensure that we restore digital trust with them. Because along the way, they lost that. Just by catching up with adversaries, the tools that they have today didn't meet their standards. So they really want to partner with us to restore this trust that's broken by AI. And we have a really nice, if you just look at this video from AppLovin, they really, really hammered home as their real problem that they were dealing with. It's the brand, the executives, in some cases, events that they're hosting, right? 83 takedowns in one day. I mean, that's unheard of if you were doing it manually. But in this agentic world, this is the type of speed that you need. So the challenges that they had before and after Outtake, that they've really taken that manual takedown process completely gone. So this is the continuous brand protection across public surfaces, takedowns, and things of that nature that also applies to events and location. But because remember, it all points down to the platform. In the heels of the platform, you can take care of all these different use cases that you have. So now we're going to deep dive into the location protection. Now we've given you kind of an overview of what this platform does and how do we take this approach for location protection. And now with that, I'll hand it off to Jen.
Thanks, Kamal. We're going to spend the next few minutes taking you guys inside our platform and looking into our location and event monitoring capabilities. So there's three main steps that we're going to go over in the next few minutes. First is, how do we provide our agents with the full context of what your location or event is so we can search thoroughly across every surface of the internet? Next, we're going to talk through how Outtake continuously monitors your company's physical locations, whether that's headquarters, offices, venues, so that threats never go undetected. And finally, we'll talk through how you can spin up event protection workflows so your team is tapped into an event narrative from the moment an event is announced to right after it ends. And I'll actually be demoing this in our fictional Dunder Mifflin profile from The Office. So let's jump in over here. Here's the landing page of what your typical profile might look like. I'll draw your attention down to this bottom left corner. So the first step of our location protection approach is to give our search agents the answer to this question. What exactly are we even monitoring? And the legacy answer to this is a keyword list. Maybe you're taking the address of your headquarters or the name of an upcoming event. A security team will come up with these phrases or strings and pass them to a social listening tool or some sort of feed algorithm. And that same analyst team will manually sift through whatever comes back, triaging the content post by post and investigating any real threats. The problem here is that a threat to your venue doesn't necessarily show up on social media as an exact keyword. It might show up as a post that shows a photo of your building entrance or a photo from inside the office, or even a post where your headquarter name doesn't appear exactly, but the threat is clear. None of that gets caught by a keyword list, but all of it is something that your physical security team needs to know about. So instead of a keyword list, we give our agents what we call an entity. So we have an extensive list of entities that we set up for Dunder Mifflin, but a key thing to call out here is that we can build an entity around a location or an event. And in both cases, we give the agent full context on what it's protecting. So for a location like this one, we're not just telling the agent to search for the Scranton branch of Dunder Mifflin. We're telling it this is the place and the address, but also this is what the building looks like, the context around this location. Here's the language or aliases people use when they're talking about this location online. For an event entity, the same logic applies. We give the agent the event logistics and venue, but also the names of the executives attending, the public-facing narrative, the time window, everything it needs to understand what's happening, where, and who's involved. And this enables our search agents to conduct a thorough semantic investigation of internet surfaces using things like reverse image search without letting anything slip through. So what this means in practice is that our search agents are not only able to pull in content that mentions a specific location, but any semantic reference to the location entity, even across image, video, and different languages. We're able to pull in content across different social platforms and the dark web, like Kamal mentioned earlier. So as you can see here, content that passed entity detection from our search agents include images of the Scranton office of Dunder Mifflin, or content where the video transcript mentions the location, even if the caption itself doesn't. And this kind of content could be critical for a security intelligence team, but is not content that would surface through your traditional keyword searches. So the agent knows what your location is, but what does it actually mean to protect it on an ongoing basis? In traditional security intelligence, monitoring a fixed location means that you're assigning an analyst to manually sift through posts, triaging what looks relevant, and escalating what looks real. That process is very slow and tedious and inevitably will cause inconsistencies or gaps. And that's really where Outtake comes in, replacing this entire manual process with an agentic security intelligence workflow, which flags what's critical and what's a real threat to your security teams, enabling them to investigate potential threats faster. So this is our Scranton branch security workflow and an example of what your team might see on a day-to-day basis in your own workflows. Our search agents are pulling into this workflow all the content referencing your location semantically, headquarters, venues, any related locations, and our triage agents are always on, running over every piece of content that gets pulled in and determines whether it's a threat to flag to your team for further investigation. So the key change here is your team isn't going to have to sift through every single piece of content. Our agents actually triage it for you, classifying content by severity, by different signals. It flags what's credible and what's not, and moves it to ignored. So your analysts are able to focus on what actually matters and what's a critical threat, instead of spending hours or even days working down a huge queue of content and cutting through the noise. And especially in things like security intelligence, when threats might surface in a matter of minutes, that difference is critical. So, for example, as we can see here, not only are agents triaging content, but they enrich the content to provide even more context for your team. So if the content is a video or an image, we can provide transcriptions and translations if content is in another language. And we also provide an in-depth analysis of why content passed entity detection or even poses a security risk to your company or to your location. Now, let's talk about what happens when something specific is scheduled at your location. This can be anything from a high-profile executive board meeting to an industry conference to even like a concert, a sports game, a marketing pop-up. In the legacy practice or in legacy practices, this again means your entire security team is spinning up a very dedicated manual effort. Someone has to scope out the monitoring, someone has to set up the feeds or use a different program, staff the entirety of the event window, and then manually wind it down when the event ends. The time and manual effort it takes to put this together is not ideal for event monitoring, especially where quick, timely updates, like Kamal mentioned, are very critical for a company's like business and security. So Outtake offers a completely self-service setup experience for event monitoring that can be configured and kicked off in less than 5 minutes. So I just popped open our workflow wizard here. And I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, but as you can see, our event workflow wizard walks you through how to set up your search and your triage agents, and immediately the workflow can go live from here. Within this same workflow, you can actually also set up email or Slack Teams notifications. So whenever a new content is flagged, you're immediately notified. or you can choose to send yourself regular digests, which are our Outtake newsletters that basically summarize all the insights and recent trends from each workflow for you and can be configured to whichever cadence you would like. This can all be done without, again, no engineering support or no filing a request with your deployment team. Your team can just set it up, run it, and archive it on their own in just a few minutes. And once it's live, the agents are pulling in content constantly. So if something is posted about your venue while the event is happening, you can know about it within minutes. For a high-stakes event where things can escalate fast, such as a violent fight outside the building, a threat actor in the area, that speed is really what gives you time to act. When the event ends, the workflow archives cleanly and quickly, and the monitoring window closes and the data is preserved, but your team isn't still getting notifications and digests or triaging posts from an event that happened weeks ago. And with this self-service experience, you can build and take down these workflows as often as you like for as many events as you'd like. So this is really great for customers who have pretty frequent events that they want to keep a close eye on. So we covered a lot here, but in short, that's how we think about location and event protection here at Outtake. This agentic approach really allows for the volume and surface area of what we scan and what we detect to go up while the manual work on your team is going down. And that's actually the inverse of what location and event security programs have historically had to deal with. I think we're really in an age where there's an incredible amount of content on the internet, and threat actors are posting their plans and intentions on the internet before events actually happen. And in this incredibly fast-paced world and world of security, it's very critical that your security team is equipped with the tools needed to understand and protect your company, your employees, your headquarters, and your external perimeter. And Outtake really comes in here with entities that understand your venues and events beyond just simple keyword lists. We use always-on agents that triage for your team so that analysts focus on what's credible. And we can spin up event workflows, self-service, run in real time, and archive cleanly. With that, I'm going to hand it back to Kamal.
All right. Thank you, Jen. I think that was a really great demo. And this really highlights the key points that we talked about earlier, right? The way we set the stage with the agentic internet and how easy it is now to have these public events live on the open internet. And if you don't have this type of visibility that Jen just walked you through, very granular as to, all the entities that you put in and all the social posts, you cannot do it with just, keyword searches anymore, because the internet is now, it's all about the date, the venue, the routes, all public by design. The risk takes shape online before anyone arrives, right? So it's really important that, number one, that we go back and we understand that public events live on the open internet first. Now, the goal is awareness, not really surveillance, right? Understand that the threat landscape, really important, that we talked about the understanding, the distinguishing the rare credible signal from ordinary public activity, and protect the people in the room. This is about safety, not about, policing expression, right? It's all about giving them context so that they can allocate resources, accordingly. And the one thing that I really got out of that demo was really the speed, right? It's a speed is the difference between ahead and behind. It's really, really important to understand, right? Manual reviews can take 7 to 9 hours, but all the spectrum of different types of platforms and information on social and everywhere else, if you're not up to speed, then you're always behind. Because the event is not going to wait. It's not going to delay itself so that you can catch up. Real-time intelligence, the security intelligence that you need, put your resources where the risk actually is. Really put where it matters so that people gather safely. So it's really important. If you want to try it out on your own, you can do a really in-depth demo here. What Jen did, she just scratched the surface. If you want to go really understand the demo of this product or understand our platform, you can just sign up for a demo on Outtake AI. And I hope this information was useful to you. Thank you for joining in. And I think now we can open the floor for questions.
Perfect. Kamal, Jen, I really enjoyed that. I also feel we just scratched the surface and now I'm so curious. But I'll book my own time with you guys to ask some more questions. So yes, I've got some questions here in the queue from the audience. And the first one Kamal, I think you said something interesting there as you were wrapping up. The goal is awareness, not surveillance. But I did have a question that is asking about that. So let's get the awkward one out of the way. It's how do you draw the line between this and surveillance? And they basically have said, I don't want my team monitoring people who are just showing up to protest or speak, for example.
Right. I mean, I'd say that's a legitimate question, and that's the first thing that pops up when you're looking at something or look at the power of something like this. But I just want to be very clear when we talk about location protection and brand protection or everything that the Outtake platform does. It's more about awareness of the threat landscape, not about surveillance of attendees. Yeah? We're not interested in who's organizing a lawful gathering. We surface a very credible signal that somebody or someone intends to harm, right? So that's the important. You're having this gathering peacefully, people are gathering in, but what we really focus on people protection, like how can we make that environment safe and really pinpoint the intent that could be a problem somewhere, right? So your team, your security team or your resources that you have can protect everyone, including people exercising their right to be there. The job is to keep the event safe and not to police expression. That's really, really important point that I want to bring out.
Perfect. Question 2. I have a question here. We already do social media monitoring before big events. What does this do that a couple of analysts with search tools can't?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I can take this one. This kind of comes in 3 different ways. I think the main one, which was alluded to earlier, is really the speed that we can surface these threats to you with enriched information. A manual review with a legacy security team or legacy security platforms might take 7 to 9 hours, even more, to surface credible signal and credible threats. And in most cases, an event really doesn't have that long, or a threat doesn't have that long before you need to act on it. So our ability to have these always-on agents that are triaging content, the ability to quickly spin up and self-service your own workflows is a really key part in that. Second is the amount of coverage we're able to do and the number of surface areas we're able to scan. Again, we cover different social media platforms as well as the dark web, and enable analysts to see text in languages that they may not understand. We can see image, video, and audio across these relevant surfaces. And I think that really enriches the volume of data that we're able to bring in and surface to the customer. And finally is, I think, scope, is that we tie these signals to your actual venues and routes and are able to stand and archive those monitors down when the event ends. And it's the difference between like a few people watching feed and a system that maps basically the entire environment.
Okay. Interesting. Well, and to kind of elaborate on that last point you made, someone asked, can you walk us through what my on-the-ground team actually receives? What lands in front of them when? How does that play out?
Yeah, of course. So the first thing is obviously the workflow I just demoed. That is kind of how you can interact with the data that we're pulling in for your team and your security team on a day-to-day basis. Beyond that, we can set up real-time alerts through the workflow in the platform. So you're getting either Slack or Teams notifications or emails with context and enriched information about content when they surface immediately. You can also set up digests, which, like I mentioned, are newsletters that Outtake puts together for you, so you can see insights and coverage on a repeating basis around your certain event. And the goal here is really that all this data is surfaced to you as imminently and as deeply as possible.
Fantastic. Kamal, Jen, I know we've covered a lot today. We've seen a lot. It's been a great presentation. As we're wrapping up here, any final thoughts, anything you want to leave the audience with?
No, I would say just, go to our website, check out more detail about the location protection, sign up for a demo, and we can give you a complete breakdown of not just location protection, but everything that our platform covers.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Kamal, Jen, thank you so much again for being here. And until next time, I really appreciate all the information.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. We are going to wrap things up here shortly. Thank you again to Kamal and Jen. We do have a poll open that's been open for a little bit, but if you have been just listening in and you didn't see that pop up in your upper right, if you do want to go deeper after today, feel free to select one of the following options. Yes, I'd like to learn more about Outtake's location protection solution. Yes, I'd like a personalized demo. Or if you're just here to learn, no follow-up for now, feel free to select any of those three options. Would love that for a way to kind of customize that follow-up and make sure you're getting the outreach that you're looking for. Now, a couple things as we wrap up here. We do have a survey that is going to pop up in that upper right. This is just for us here at Actual Tech Media to know, how did the event go? Did this meet your needs and expectations? How were the sort of mechanics, the bells and whistles of the platform, to make sure we are able to keep things at their best, keep improving, keep adjusting and tweaking as we go forward. So really just a pulse check, if you don't mind. Aside from that, in the Docs tab, I did mention earlier, we have the Outtake homepage. There's also a one-pager in there that we've uploaded. So if you want to take that away as kind of a great wrap, a great follow-up, something you want to share with your team or review any of the data there, this is a great PDF. So Outtake, location protection, and you've got all the facts and figures in there as well. Alrighty, and I suppose the only thing we have left to cover is our prize giveaway. So let's give that away without further ado. Our lucky winner today is Megan Bungaroth from California. So Megan, we're going to be reaching out by email to let you know how you can claim your prize, and we'll get that over to you right away. Other than that, I just want to give one final round of thanks to everybody here. So again, thanks to Outtake for making today possible. Thank you to Kamal and Jen for all this information, for the presentation, the walkthrough, letting us pick their brains with some questions. It's been great. And of course, biggest thanks going out to all of you in the audience there for asking those great questions, being here, taking time out of your busy schedules. Hopefully you're leaving knowing a lot more than you came in with. And this is something that you can start using for your strategy, start using for your next event, and again, be a little more preemptive when detecting any of these possible disruptions. So if you want to learn more, of course, you've got that docs, you've got that poll, all that good stuff. But if you want to check out any other webinars, events.actualtechmedia.com is the place where you'll find our full calendar. You also have that QR code up on the screen. And with that, I'm going to let you all go. Thank you so much for being here one final time. And until our next webinar again together, I wish you a fantastic rest of your days. Take care all.